Hi everyone, welcome to the Woodland Reboot. I'm Peter, and this is the Woodland Reboot. In this video, I'm going to tell you about the things I like most about my shop and top tips for building a fantastic shop. Outside dimensions for this building: 32 feet wide, 48 feet long. When you get inside, it's essentially 31 feet wide and 47 feet long. Building height inside, floor to ceiling, is 12 feet. Overhang of a foot on the side, 18 inches front and back. The garage door is 12 wide, 10 feet high. As you can see, the building is clad with a two-tone metal siding. Quick tip on the siding: if you go with one color from ground to the soft, it's going to be a little easier because they're just one piece that you have to put up. With the two-tone like this, you've got to attach that lower level, get the lines all right, and then attach that upper level. It is a cold day here in Eastern Ontario. This could be one of the coldest days of the year so far. Minus 10 Celsius midday right now. What's that Fahrenheit? 14, 15 degrees, so it's cold out here. Two windows down that side. The other side just has one window on it. I'll tell you a little bit more about why it's got one window. It's freezing cold. Let's head inside. If you're new to the reboot, here's Blue. She's hanging out inside in the warmth here. The number one thing, if you build a shop like this, a space like this, is the fact that you have a space like this. It's a space where I can put all my toys, essentially woodworking, a small amount of automotive, and of course some storage like I mentioned. It's a fantastic space, and most important of all, because you noticed all that snow and the temperature outside, this is a heated shop. Got that radiant tube heating system installed, and as you can see over here, I set it to, let's see if we can get it there, 55 degrees inside. So it is nice and warm in here, especially when it's minus 10 Celsius outside or about 14. Beautiful toasty warm inside here. I've got a pickup truck in here. I've got a boat in here. They do not need to be in here. I've got more than enough room. It's heated, it's warm, concrete floor, and I've got all my shop tools finally laid out the way I've been dreaming of laying them out for decades. Literally decades. How many of you guys out there, whatever the activity is, you've been thinking of a space for a decade or more? Anyways, this is mine. So number one, I'm overemphasizing this fantastic space. Let's have a quick tour. Door that I just came in. Service panel there to the right. Heating. There's the window on the right side there. Storage along that wall. I've got some boules of wood. I think they're called boules. Some logs I've recently cut on my sawmill outside. 2 cherry, 2 black oak. Storage on the mezzanine in the back. You see I've got a little fishing boat. Pickup truck is inside. Garage door. Couple of storage cabinets. Now down this side of the building, the north side of the building, my plan is to essentially try to set up my workshop along this side. I've got the 2 windows. I've got 3 plugs on each side, but obviously 3 here, easy access. Good natural light, good overhead lighting. That's the area where I want to try to set up my shop. And so, as you can tell from that comment, I'm still in the process of really setting it up inside here. In this area here, this is where I'm kind of operating the shop right now, but as you can see, it's tending towards this side of the shop. And so that's where I'm going to set up and put some of my tools up against the wall. For example, like the radial arm saw, that's pretty much got a nice home there. I'll put a cutoff saw up against the wall there as well. Perhaps another bench, another mobile bench just like this one. Currently have a small table project underway right now. Storage in that back left. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty then in terms of building one of these things. Let me get into some of the details that you need to know. The first thing that you need to know is you've got to go to your municipality, your town office, your city office. If you're planning to put up a shop like this, a building, whether it be on the property where you own your house or you've just bought a piece of land like I did, you need to go and find out what the actual zoning rules are. For example, my property here, or let me be more precise, when I was looking for a property to put this building on, there are several municipalities around here. You cannot build said building unless there's a house on the property first. I just wanted to find some acreage out in the countryside, no more than an hour from my home, where I could put up a shop. And like I said, with some acreage. I didn't want to build a second house. Had I purchased in another municipality where I hadn't done my homework, I would not have been able to put this structure up until I put up a house. So again, go and talk to your municipal officials, find out what the rules are before you buy, before you try to put a tool in the ground. Next, you need to do some investigation of the ground that you're buying. Literally the ground you're buying. There's no surprise here when I tell you this next detail. This property sits on bedrock. So you scrape away the dirt anywhere from a foot to 2 feet, boom, you're on bedrock. So you're building on rock. The surprise here, or no surprise, is that guess what? Farmers aren't selling their good ground. You've got to know what you're building on so then you know what you're up against in terms of how you're doing your foundation. Is it a slab? Is it a slab on grade? What's going on? But again, it's a key issue. You don't want surprises. Do some homework, investigate the land that you're about to buy, talk to some professionals, talk to the construction professionals, and find out what the way forward is for your shop. What are the key features of my shop? First and foremost, this is a post frame structure, a post frame shop. The main elements include the beefy posts, the vertical members. In a post frame construction style, the posts sit on a foundation of some kind. In my case, they sit on piers, as in this photo. On the walls, you see the horizontal members. Those are called girts. The trusses are set on these two load-bearing walls. That's where all the structural integrity is in this type of construction. Using a photo from my build process, here are the girts in the walls, and on the trusses, you have these members called purlins. In terms of the foundation, this is a slab on grade. It's a floating slab construction, and what that means is that there's no foundation under it. It sits on top of a gravel pad. I had to go with that as an option because I'm on bedrock here, meaning that my construction, let me see over here, I've cut open part of the insulation to be able to show you guys. My building sits on piers like this. There are 7 6x6 posts down each wall, so 7 on that wall, 7 down this wall, and each of these 6x6 posts sits on one of these piers. The pier itself is actually stuck, and when I mean stuck, I drilled pins into the bedrock, put the form around the pins, and then poured the concrete. So this pier is stuck to, I called it nailed to, the bedrock below. The height of these piers is anywhere from 10 inches to 2 feet. And if I remember correctly, the lowest or shortest piers are up here in the front, and the longest pier or tallest pier is down there in that back right corner. So with that in mind, so you've got these piers, you've got the posts sitting on the piers straight up. You've got these members that cut across parallel called girts. You have the girts connecting to the posts. And then up top, there's a large beam that runs across the top of the posts on each side. And then on top of that sit the trusses. And you can see that from this construction footage that I've included as we go along. And I have an entire list of videos that I did concerning the build of my shop. Please go to my channel and check out those various playlists. For example, these rolls of insulation that I hung on the walls. And as you can see, there's the insulation there. And it's actually, the insulation came with this backing on it. I ordered it with this backing. So it literally comes, if you can see way in the back there on the mezzanine, the insulation came in these big rolls. Whoops, finger there. So there are 12 rolls, for example, in the ceiling that go left to right. And then there are, I can't even remember, I'm going to say it's 32 rolls that I installed in the walls. You can see them hanging vertically there, and they're held in place. They're tacked at the top, but they're also held in place with these screws. I've got screws that are either 5 or 6 inches long, And you can see they go through and they'll screw into the girts. What were the most challenging parts of my build process? Now, my number one challenge is not something that anybody else has to do. It's just something that I wanted to do. It was on my bucket list to do, is that I wanted to buy a sawmill and mill the majority of the wood that was going to be used in this construction project. And that's what I did. Having said that, I bought, I think in total, 96 logs. And I had to mill 96 logs using a entry-level sawmill. I enjoyed it, but it was a ton of work. You can just go to a box store and buy all the lumber you need. Instead, I milled mine. The second most challenging aspect of my build was the concrete floor. The truck arrived, we began the pour, and the pours are done in 4 separate 8-foot strips. So 8 feet down this side, you can see that divided by the expansion joint, an 8 feet slab right through here. There's an 8-foot wide right there. And again, these are all 48 feet long strips of concrete. And then this one here. By managing the concrete by myself, my kids helped me. Take a look at those videos. I saved a ton of money. And I want to come back to that point in a second. I saved a ton of money. I think all in, each one of these strips, the concrete delivered, if I remember correctly, was 1,500 Canadian dollars. So all in for this concrete, my concrete floor, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. $6,000. If the pros were to come and show up with a crew of, I don't know, 5 or 8 guys, make it look fantastic like the inside of a Home Depot, I would have been looking at probably $12,000. These are pre-pandemic prices. What it is now, I don't know. Now, it's a ton of work. Trying to move around the concrete, get it where you like it, and then finish it, it's a lot of work. I didn't have the money to have the pros come in. I saved the money. It's good enough, but a professional job will be that much better, of course. Again, challenging work, hard work, a long day of work. Each one of these strips represents a full day of work after the concrete truck shows up. The third most challenging aspect of this build was putting on the metal roofing. I tried to do it myself. Didn't even ask a friend to come and help me. The sheets on my roof are 17 feet long. It wasn't possible. It might have been possible, but I decided after trying to get 2 up in a very light breeze that I was probably going to hurt myself. Fall off a ladder, fall off the roof, I would probably hurt myself. I was wearing strapping and the whole bit, but I just felt too uncomfortable. It was just too much to try to do. So for that, I called in a crew. They got the job done during a weekend. It's fantastic. Some of the best money I spent in this project. The fourth most challenging aspect of the project was installing those rolls of insulation in the ceiling in what are called bays between the trusses up in the ceiling. Again, I thought that was something I could do on my own. I gave it a try. I took up one of the rolls up here on the mezzanine, started to try and install it, and quickly realized that wasn't going to happen by myself. That's the other part of this process where I brought in a crew to install the insulation in the ceiling. I was not going to be able to get those rolls 32 feet long installed in the bays by myself. My favorite part of the construction process, 2 things. One of them is already mentioned as one of the most challenging things, but by far one of my favorite aspects of this process was buying the sawmill, milling the lumber, and being able to say that I did that myself. Linked to that, the next item on the favorite list is the framing itself. Putting those big posts up, installing the girts, making sure everything is plumb and square. Also a favorite part, along with putting the trusses in place. So again, just that overall general framing, getting that part of it done. Those are the favorite parts of the build process for me. You will learn a lot about yourself if you take on a project of this magnitude. There's a lot of planning, there's a lot of patience, there's a lot of perseverance, dedication, I mean, you just got to keep going at it 1 week, 1 month at a time, one step ahead of the next one, and you can put up a project like this if you are thinking about it. A lot of us can do these kinds of projects. We've never done them. I hadn't done a project like this before I embarked on it. And in fact, if you see that cabin out the window there, I don't know that the camera's going to focus outside. If you see the cabin outside there, that's what I did to kind of test my abilities. I built that cabin in the post frame style to test out and see, obviously a much smaller scale compared to the shop. But once I'd done that, I felt comfortable that I could put this shop up. So don't let it intimidate you. You've just got to plan, budget, step by step, talk to the municipal officers. I found them to be extremely helpful. The gentleman here in my municipality is fantastic, helped me with a whole bunch of issues so that I was able to construct it and put it up by myself. Let's head outside here to close out the video where we started. Blue decided to come outside. She wanted out after sitting inside after lunch. The level of satisfaction and achievement that you're going to have after you build something like this is staggering. You're going to end up with something that immediately creates value well beyond what you were even intending to do. And then you've got this great structure. I think this one looks fantastic. And it's this great space inside where I get to work on all my projects that I've been thinking of doing for years. What gets better than that? Thoughts down below. Let me know what you're thinking of doing, projects you have in mind, or the projects you've completed. I'm sure some of you have better shops than this one that you've built pretty much on your own. Everyone, that's the end of this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Come back for future videos. Take care. Blue. I don't know about you, but I gotta head inside. It's freezing out here. Come on, let's go.